Hey everybody, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the morning show, Stock Market TV. Spencer, JC, Steve with you this morning. My question for y'all is today like the most important day of our lives? Is this afternoon's NVIDIA report the most important earnings report in the history of earnings reports, in the history of the stock market, in the history of Fed days? I don't know. I just ask the questions, you answer them. But in all seriousness, we do have NVIDIA tonight, so we'll talk about that. Big day for tech as well. It's not just NVIDIA. We have continued weakness. We'll talk about that. A bunch of earnings reports after the close, and kind of just put the last week or so into context because that's what we do. To help us out, of course, we'll have JC and Steve. We'll have Kenny Glick, and we'll have Caleb Franzen on the show. So and Mary, because today is Wednesday. Mary comes on the show on Wednesdays. That's what we got. Mornings with Mary. So that is the plan. Quick PSA, public service announcement, programming note, if you will. I don't know if we'll do a show TBD on the show tomorrow. Okay, TBD on the show tomorrow. If you want to figure it out, go into the description on YouTube. There's a bunch of links in there. One of them says the Stock Market TV Daily Rundown. Sign up for our emails, and we will alert you when we have things to announce. So anyway, smash the like, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, wake your neighbors, tell them that JC and Steve are here, and they're chomping at the bit. So let's go.
All right, we back. Happy morning show, everybody. Happy Wednesday. My son comes in yesterday holding a camel, and he goes, "Look, Daddy, a camel. Hump day." Because he thinks that's what camels say.
He was off by a day.
We should do cold open so that people could hear JC's morning rants.
I thought about it.
What can I tell you? I get fired up in the morning, especially in bull markets. You know that these people have the audacity to tell me that this is a bear market. Can you believe that?
Oh.
There are real serial killers out there who think that.
You have some great morning energy.
Also, I have these clowns telling me that treasury bonds rallying also indicative of a bear market, some kind of risk-off environment, some sort of safety. Like sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone. Like, are we looking at the same market? Like,
I mean, it's been a characteristic of some bear markets.
Yeah, but what the fuck does that have to do with now?
Sure, I'm with you. In fact, I like bonds. I like the bonds here. Bonds ending up being a far more preferred vehicle than I would have guessed when it comes to the interest rate trade. Bonds, don't overthink it. It was bonds all along.
Dude,
who knew?
Hang Seng ripping overnight. Chinese equities all up 4 or 5%. Bear market.
Big catch-up trade here.
What are talking about?
I'm all in on the EWH right now. I think there's just a big catch-up trade, and Hong Kong ends up.
FXI is up 3.5%. Do you know what 3.5% would be equivalent to if this was the United States stock market? Let's see.
Oh, but it isn't, is it?
Let's see. 0.035 times. What are we looking at? 43,800. That's the Dow rallying 1,500 points in the overnight session.
But
if
it
the United States. Yeah, but this is the Dow of China. What is it, the Xinhua 25 or whatever the fuck?
What does that have to do? What does that have to do with the price of tea in America?
Everything, bro.
Crypto.
You think that Chinese stocks ripping in your face is bearish for U.S. equities?
Cryptos are getting hosed again. I'm excited. We're doing a live stream at, I believe, noon today.
Woo!
About the big
also,
change.
Caleb Franzen coming in the house today, our special guest today. He has opinions.
He should join us. Yeah. Louis will be there. We're seeing things out here. We're seeing different things.
Can we do a state of the market so we can talk about exactly what we're seeing?
Yeah. Trends are changing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do we have going on this morning? The Dow futures are up 123 points. That's close to 1/3% to the upside for the Dow, 43,800. You got S&P futures up 0.5%, back above 6,000, 3150 to the upside for S&Ps. Nasdaq 100 futures up 80 bips. That's over 0.75% to the upside, 170 points to the upside for Nasdaq 100 futures, putting it above 21,300. 30-year bond futures are flat this morning, 117.5. Crude oil flat, 69. Copper up again, 2.33%, 4.6, $4.63 for copper. Gold up about 0.25%, 29.40. Silver up almost a full percent, 32.40, with the VIX down slightly below 19 over in funny money land. You got Bitcoin down once again, close to 1,000 points, 87,600. You got Ethereum down 2.5% today, 24.30. Of course, Solana continues to get hammered, down another 5% today, 137.
Cryptos are
Spencer
getting
Israel, total crypto
hosed.
market cap 2.84 trillion.
Big bear follow through for the cryptos.
Big bear follow through. Dollar up a little bit this morning. Got absolutely hammered yesterday. Still hanging in there okay this morning. What do we make of the strength in copper?
Of the what? Sorry.
The strength in copper. Copper last night, while I was checking out the futures before bed, copper up 4% with Chinese stocks ripping. Actually, it wasn't even before bed. It was like right when the futures opened, as a matter of fact. No,
I'm mostly okay with it, but it really hasn't been a winning trade just yet. I mean, if you were to express something, you look at the chart of copper, a lot of people probably would have expressed a bullish thesis using something like Freeport McMoran or Southern
Yeah,
Copper.
but the answer's been China. Copper's been moving in China.
Fine, but it's just not intuitive.
Good.
Right? Like people aren't using Chinese indexes as a vehicle to express a bullish thesis on
Because
commodities.
they think that all these Chinese stocks with technology are going to move with technology when they are not.
Indexes just aren't built as commodity indexes anymore. You know,
they're not built like commodity indexes, but they still trade with them. I think you said it yesterday. Chinese stocks are moving more with copper than they are with American stocks. Chinese tech and Chinese internet
What's
is
the
moving
reason
with
for
copper,
that?
not with
You
U.S.
don't-
tech and U.S. internet.
I don't know, Spencer. I wouldn't have guessed it.
Well, China like uses. Aren't they like the world's #1 like exporter of copper or importer?
That's the idea. They're the number one consumer of copper, right? Or not so much consumer of buyers of copper, whatever.
I think it's simply that like these assets get bought and sold at the same times by the same people.
Yeah, it's an asset allocation. It's more of a portfolio manager correlation than it is like an economic correlation.
Okay, so it just flows over
bros.
Some of these international indexes, like Germany, at different times in this cycle, have looked just like the Nasdaq 100. Yet there's no tech in them, right? It's more of a money flow thing than the way the indexes are built.
Can we look at the performance of assets since I want to look at the performance of assets since Treasury bonds bottomed. Can we do that? So I'm being told, and I've gotten some questions from some folks about, whether the strength in Treasury bonds is somehow bearish for equities. And I suppose it could be theoretically, maybe one day. But the truth of the matter is that there's no evidence whatsoever. No evidence whatsoever that any of this is risk off at all. Bitcoin up 200% since bonds bottom. China up 45%. S&P's up over 40%. Q's up over 40%. Europe, Japan, all absolutely rip it in their face. And I just like to add that in this risk-on environment with rising bond prices, gold has also been ripping. So gold also not indicative of any risk-off situation.
Gold beating all the equity indexes. If you had to choose a fighter and predict what this chart would look like at the end of this year, what's on top?
China.
Cool.
Yeah. China's on top.
What's on the bottom?
What?
What's on the bottom? Spy.
Bonds probably. Yeah.
I don't think rates are going higher.
You don't think rates are going higher? Or you don't think rates are going lower?
I don't think rates are going higher.
Right. I agree.
So I think bonds are going to go up.
Bonds are going to outperform China.
Yeah.
Right? No?
Yeah.
Here, go to Ferrari. Ferrari hitting new all-time highs. I'm told that people can't afford anything, Strazza. Can you do the Ferrari chart, please? I'm told that people can't afford anything. The consumer's dead.
Stop.
Ferrari seems to be doing just fine.
What percent of people are actually in this market?
Shout out Italy, right? Italian equities absolutely ripping. Weren't you telling me yesterday that Italian equities are ripping?
Yeah, they look great, but this means nothing. This is not a read on the consumer. The Ferrari indicator.
Like the S&P?
No.
Is it just a coincidence that the shares of Ferrari look just like S&Ps?
Yes.
It's just a coincidence. You're really going to say that, right? In public, people watching are going to laugh at you.
I mean, it's crazy.
It's a coincidence.
It's crazy to think that stocks go up in bull markets and down in bear markets and end up looking like the indexes because of it. It's crazy. It's crazy. You're right.
Call me crazy. Is Ferrari making new? Let me ask you this: is Ferrari making new all-time highs bearish for the S&P 500?
No.
Right.
I just there's nothing here.
No.
You're gonna go buy Ferrari?
Am I gonna buy a Ferrari? What the fuck am I?
I don't understand.
Kids. What am I doing with a Ferrari?
I don't know. This falls into the category of way too trendy and over my head. I don't understand why. I
wouldn't know what to do with a Ferrari. Like, where am I going?
Yeah, but this is like a fad.
I don't even think I don't even think girls think it's cool. Like, I think they just assume you're a douchebag if you ride a Ferrari. Like, I wouldn't, and I'm married, so like, and I have 3 kids. Where am I going to put these kids? What am I doing with a Ferrari?
This is just one of those luxury brand stories.
How much do Ferraris go for these days? Quarter million, more?
Clearly, way too much. I mean, Ford and GM are out here. They can't even make any money. It's crazy. And then this chart looks the way it does. It's wild.
Aren't Ford and GM just like donating money to like pensions and like?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're all making cars. And why is this one so much better than the other ones? I understand they're a lot smaller, right? And they're selling like a luxury brand.
No, but I think that the GM and the Ford is because communism is involved, and they're not letting free markets do their thing. I think Tesla.
I don't think that's it.
You don't think that's it? All right.
No, I think I mean, certainly they are burdened by years of underinvestment, and their timing really couldn't have been worse with the whole EV thing. Like, they let Elon Musk single-handedly create a new product category, and then we're like, okay, we should probably do something about this. And then by the time they did something about it, it was kind of like too late, right? So, and nobody in their right mind wants an electric F-150, right? That's not why you buy an F-150. So, yeah. There are problems there.
Chris with the beard saying JC's pretending he wouldn't enjoy a Ferrari. Honestly, I don't think I would. Like, I'm taking my brother-in-law and I are going to the racetrack, and we're going to race, I think, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, and a Porsche. Everybody tells me the Porsche is the best of the 3. So if I'm going to buy any of the 3, it's probably going to be the Porsche, not the Ferrari.
Are you going to Pocono?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, next month with my brother-in-law. He's like he's one of these gearheads. I don't know anything about cars.
I like a fast car.
But everybody says the Porsche is way better. Like, not even close.
I like a fast car, but I don't want to be like afraid for my life while I'm driving. You know, I'm more for comfort.
I don't even like driving. I like being driven around.
Yeah, I'd rather have a Maybach.
Yeah, Maybach music. You know.
No, that's great. Hey, GM, little pippity poppity here this morning on a nice little earnings beat, and Ford fell the other day or last week on earnings and is just coiled up with a really nice scoop and score, potential scoop and score setup. You like that coil? They're not breaking down charts like this.
I should add with GM, they're kind of doing the one thing they can do, which is they're raising their dividend and their buyback, which is like
$6 billion. That's not nothing. I saw that.
No, not at all.
Look, if you have nothing else to do with your cash, buy back some stock, man. Great.
Great American brand, right, Steve?
Let's get back to what Spencer led off this morning with whether or not today is the most important day of our lives. Is that what you said? What was the question? Is today the most important?
That was more or less it. Yeah.
Is today the most important day of our lives? Ladies and gentlemen, you want to weigh in on the chat? Is today the most important day of our lives? Throw up. I do think it's really important. Throw up that semis chart.
Probably not even close.
Yeah, I would say like the birth of my children.
Yeah.
You know, the day I hit that home run and won the game, like when I was like 11, that was a good one.
It was a good day.
It was a good day. I crushed it. Still thinking about it. Hit 2 home runs that day. So
you hear about all the money
NVIDIA reports tonight.
Yeah.
420. Is that a coincidence that they reported 420? You don't think they're doing people a favor?
That's same every quarter.
Yeah. Is that, well, that's what I'm saying. Like if I were the CEO of a publicly traded company and I got to decide when to report, I would do it at 420 also.
I wouldn't, because it's annoying for people. Because the market closes at 4, I need 5 minutes to wrap up my day, and then I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and I'm sitting and I'm just waiting and
Why don't you just go for a walk?
15 minutes.
405. Give me 405 all day. I'll take 405 any day of the week. Yeah.
I like a good 405 timely reporter. You know, get it out of the way. Have your call right then and there. Call at 425, 430. Like, let's go. Get it over with. None of 6 o'clock call stuff. I don't need to sit there and look through the report for an hour first. You know? Or just do it like
want my
Berkshire.
cheat sheet?
You have a cheat sheet? You have an NVIDIA cheat sheet?
I have an NVIDIA cheat sheet.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Did you think I had one? I bet you did.
You got some whisper numbers for me?
No, I have what actually matters. Throw up the new slide 5 there, please.
I just want to say that NVIDIA, their last few reports have been at 420, but then they've also reported at 4 o'clock previously. They were at like 5 o'clock a couple times, weirdly enough. But anyway, okay.
What are they forecasting for quarterly?
Can we throw up my cheat sheet, please, sir?
Yeah, but I want to know how much
then we'll get
money
back to this chart.
This beast of a business is printing these days.
There it is. So here's my cheat sheet. This is if today didn't matter, I would be the first to say this is like a media journalism circle jerk, just keeping journalists employed. You can ignore it. If that was the case, I would tell you that. But I don't believe that it is the case. I actually do think it's really important. Is it the most important day of our entire lives? No. But I do think it's important, particularly with how that semiconductors chart looks like. Ready? Here's a cheat sheet. NVIDIA represents 18% of the semiconductors index. NVIDIA represents 7.5% of the NASDAQ 100, the Qs, kind of a big deal. I don't know if you heard. NVIDIA represents 12% of S&P Technology Index, represents 9% of the Russell 1000 Growth Index, and I think for S&Ps, I think it represents like maybe 4.5%, 5% of the S&P 500, if I'm not mistaken. Not on the cheat sheet. NVIDIA represents 5.75% of the S&P 500.
So, in other words, it's a lot, right?
And
the stock matters. And there's a reason also why NVIDIA, I think it holds like the record and the number 2 and the number 3 spot for like greatest market cap loss in a day, right? Yeah, it's like the number 1st, 2nd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th, 9th, 10th as for largest market cap well, one day loss in value in one day. So
can we put up the semiconductors chart just to show just how important? Like, not only are these like huge percentage weightings in these indexes, but think about what's happening here in the semiconductors index. Like, if NVIDIA shits to bed today, this thing breaks, bull market canceled.
No, I think you need to see it on an absolute basis.
You got to see it on an absolute basis. That's fair. That's probably fair. But certainly wouldn't be a win for the Bulls. It'd be a big blow to this bull market. If this
you don't want to lose NVIDIA or the semiconductors any more than you already have, frankly.
What about what if we get a big stick to close out the week and the month in semiconductors? Is there anything you could think of that would be more bullish for the stock market?
Yeah, homie's doing the same.
Homie's doing the same. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's probably right.
At this point, like one big daily candle, I don't know if it undoes the action since last week. We got to see, right?
In what specifically? In homies?
Well, I'm thinking of some of these indexes. One green candle's not going to fix it.
In tech, right? Like tech more broadly.
Look at the speculative growth stuff. Look
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean,
best
ARK.
stocks. Like
Someone who tweeted this morning, Justin Spiller, ARK went from up 20% this year to down 1% in 1 week. In 1 week.
momentum that has come in on the downside is a bit alarming here, and that matters. So, yeah, got to start somewhere. But one green candle is just going to be one green candle at this point. We just had 5 nasty red ones in a lot of these charts. So, a lot of things are oversold now for the first time. I'm looking back at the charts. First time since 23. First time since 2022. Again, what do we say about oversold readings? Seen them everywhere. Not characteristics of bear markets or bull markets.
Let me ask you, Strazza, how are you
Yeah.
spending? How are you spending your time today? Are you looking for stocks to buy, or are you looking for stocks to sell?
I've done a lot of selling, my friend. Nothing. I was talking to Pat yesterday. We're always sharing ideas on trades. You send over a couple good ideas, passed on all of them.
You don't
Right,
like
that's
that Home
kinda where I'm
Depot?
at right now.
You don't like the Home
Mm.
Depot?
Listen, I like some healthcare stuff. Like I said, I
Yeah.
think this Ford coil is pretty cute. Like there are things out there. I like the Bristol Myers.
Dude,
I
how
like
about
medical devices.
healthcare closing yesterday at new 3-month highs?
I'm looking for dips to buy in international stocks, but not getting them. But U.S. stocks, I've been selling. I've been selling since January. Been writing about it. Pretty much completely out of my cryptos. Have a little stuff left over.
I thought we had a really good conversation yesterday about cryptos and sort of like where Bitcoin is, looking to buy a breakout above 102 if it sticks for a target in the 150s, ultimately in the 250s. But we haven't broken out number one. And number two, now we're potentially setting ourselves up for a buy in the 70s. And I haven't decided if that's something that I want to do or not. But it's certainly something I'm considering, right? Because that's the form of resistance from the prior cycle, right?
I think we could see the 70s quick here.
If we get down into the low 70s, I think that I'm going to start putting on some positions and then add to them on a breakout above 102.
Yep.
I don't hate that strategy at all.
If everything else continues to hold up, then this is going to be another dip to be bought. And then I would think eventually, and who knows how sloppy it is and how long it takes, but eventually some of these tops, like the one in Bitcoin and MicroStrategy and Coinbase that we're talking about, probably get repaired, right? I don't want to hang out in the meantime, right? But I could see that. So I think that there will be a buying opportunity here eventually. I don't know how long it takes, though. I don't know how long it takes. I don't like the action. I don't like the downside momentum. It reminds me of the way that they were selling tech stocks back last summer. Right. And then that's been dead money for 6-8 months now. That's what crypto looks like. They're just getting sold real hard. And I think it's just, you're going sideways for a while. It's going to be messy, I imagine.
Well, just to circle back on what Spencer said, is today, an important day, all joking aside? I think it is. I actually do think it's relevant. Totally. Not only is it relevant to the market based on the weightings, but where semis currently are in the market. I think that today's a big day.
So let's talk about things that we know going into the report. It's going to be great. They're going to knock it out of the park. Probably going to raise their guidance. Will it be enough?
But not the point. Not the point.
Now let's talk about the thing we don't know. How will the market react?
That's right.
Can't wait to see it.
And I just want to say, thank you to everybody. We are incredibly fortunate as traders, as investors, as market participants to have one another and be able to navigate these markets together. 4 o'clock today, we will be talking about the NVIDIA earnings. Not so much the earnings, but more so the reaction. I don't know. Strazza can speak to the earnings themselves. I really couldn't care less. I'm sure they'll be great. I'm sure that Jared Wang loves his kids. The whole thing is great. I'm more interested in how the market reacts, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So, Spencer, if you want to drop the link, I will see you guys today at 4 o'clock. JC out.
Oh, he just leaves. I had things to say to him. All right, I'll see him.
You gonna do Kenny?
Kenny is not here yet. But when he joins, we'll bring him on. We have
Can we hit some big earnings reports in the meantime?
Yeah. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, you know what I was going to say is, isn't every dip in crypto, or at least Bitcoin, eventually a dip to be bought, right? That's not been the case. So,
Yeah.
okay.
When you really haven't had it in Bitcoin yet, it just started. This is
Yeah,
a
that's right.
short-term pop.
That's true. So okay, but speaking of crypto, real fast. So we're doing this in videos thing at 4:00, but at noon, Steve and Louie are going live to talk about the crypto thing, right? And Louie did a great stream. I guess it was last week. It was last Monday, about like sort of outlining a bullish thesis in crypto. Today's stream is going to be basically a response to that. The market has had a week and a half of data since
Yeah.
then.
The
And
evidence has changed, frankly, and warrants an update.
right, exactly. So that's what this is. It's going to be an update on Louis' bull thesis, what has been invalidated, what has not, and also Steve outlining sort of his bear case. So I put both those links in the chat. Again, I'll be sending emails out about this today. If you are not on the list for our email, go into the description where it says Stock Market TV Daily Rundown, sign up. You'll get those emails talking about who, the what, the when, the where, and the why
Great.
for today. So we had overnight, you already mentioned the GM report. We had Lowe's. We had
Oh, how did Lowe's do? Same as Home Depot?
They're usually pretty correlated, right? I be honest, I haven't
Little
actually
pop.
looked at Lowe's yet this morning. What's Lowe's doing?
Little pop. Home Depot,
Yeah.
little sympathy pop as well.
2% for Lowe's.
Decent reaction so far from both of these.
Yep. Wait, where's my calendar? Oh, there it is. What else did we have here? Tonight's big, man. I mean, it's not just NVIDIA. We got a lot of software. We got Salesforce, we got Snowflake, C3 AI, right?
And pay attention to all these little NVIDIA names also. Their little equity investments that they have.
True. Yeah. Oh, I didn't mention SMCI. We don't really care what they said, but they said something. They had earnings. That's the point. Is they actually filed a 10Q and a 10K. Amazing. They did both. Good for them. And so that stock popped on that filing, which is kind of funny that happened. So all right, let's bring Kenny out here and then we'll get Caleb on.
Great.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come from my club, they tug it. Putting up numbers, 99 problems, and I still kept it 100. Hola.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning.
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Everything's going on. What's shaking?
I don't know. What's shaking? What's up pre-market? What's down pre-market? I don't know.
We just got into a weird conversation about the Yosemite bear watchers who were fired. You know about these guys?
I've heard things about national park employees, not specifically Yosemite bear watchers, but things about the National Park Service. Yeah.
Yeah, we're having a debate about all these cuts and all that stuff and how it would affect the bottom line and whether or not the deficit will go down. But I say leave the bear guys alone, right? All their job is to basically watch the bears and make sure they're in a certain area so they don't eat anybody. They're only getting paid maybe 60 grand a year. Do we really got to fire the bear guys? Leave the bear guys alone. Anyway, you're talking SMCI? Yeah. You know what we're talking about? We're talking about the NQ futures and how they correlate to the QQQ and which moves first. So we were just watching the NQs versus the QQQ, and we had some volatility in the Qs, and so NQ futures. So it's basically they are tick for tick, but you will get a little bit of a heads up watching futures, and then you get the QQQ move. Which, and if you didn't know, the NQ,
you know what I've been wondering? Obviously, the overnight futures market is way more liquid, but as the overnight equities market develops and gets more and more mature, I've been wondering if that relationship will change, or if the Qs might eventually one day get more liquid, or the ETFs might get more liquid than the futures overnight, right? Because now you can do that. Now you can trade the Qs at 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Right.
So
and until the spreads tighten up, it's not too bad. I've traded some Qs. Plus, they don't let you short, which is kind of funny. They won't let you put a short on as an opening trade in the overnight session.
I can't think of a worse proposition than trading at 1 o'clock in the morning, because those markets are literally rigged against you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. But you guys were talking about SMCI. Listen, I want to talk about this Clove, talking about earnings. If anybody's in this swing trade with me, yesterday was glorious. And we were talking about, we have a new couple of new traders in the room, trying to get the old school investor who just knows buy and hold to become a trader. And, again, this QQQ move today, just these last half an hour we were trading them, they popped. And I was like, here's where you got to sell them before they roll over. And he said, how do you know they're going to roll over? I'm like, I don't know anything, but I know I'm going to sell here because I've got the money in my account. And if I don't sell something here and they do roll over, then I'm going to lose money. So I'm going to sell here. And then if they start to go down, and here they go, and now I'm going to sell the rest. And the trading. So when we were just talking about, we just had a really nice conversation just about ebb and flow of the market and how do I know things? I don't know anything. And again, and I'll just jump back to this one trade from last night, Kava. They reported earnings. Now, what I know is I think every stock that is a restaurant or a beverage or a fad, like your Yetis, your Go-Go's, I don't know if you remember GoPro, or basically Triple Fat Goose, or whatever it is. They're everybody wants them, and then nobody cares. It's just like this stock, Kava, right? My kid was talking about this last year. I should have bought the stock then, and it went from $30 to $175. But remember, it's still a restaurant. Chances are 3 years from now, nobody will care about this restaurant. It's not going to be another Chipotle. There's only one Chipotle, right? But right now, the stock, I'm not a fan. So I'm looking for a reason to short it. The short already happened, obviously. So last night in this action right here, I'm talking about how much I hate the stock, how I think it might be a $50 stock very soon, then 30, then 0. But then I'm saying, I think we got to buy it here at 92.50. And that is one of my favorite trades, when I admit that I'm wrong and I'm going to do what the stock does. So, in the aftermarket, let me show you, you don't really see it. It was a little bit more pronounced last night.
It got down to 88.91 last night, and then
so
down.
Here's the 92.50. It's a very specific price.
I can't see your chart.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, let me put this up for you. Hold on. All right. So you get the tank, and I'm laughing because I'm thinking, all right, this thing's going to 0. And again, it's already been a pretty damn good short. It was at 170. But here is where I just put my opinion on the side because I only trade price. So that 92.50, I know how significant it is. 92.50 gets you 95. You already dipped under 90. You had a little faux show bro action there. So I bought a little bit there at 92.50. And it was right after me saying how I think the stock's going to 0. And that's trading. And that is trading. And then look, the stock emerges. It comes back to the 92.50 area. And this is us again. We tried it again. And again, I wish I would have held it overnight, but I had no intentions of holding it overnight. So you come in today, and now I see the stock is way up here. So now I can readdress my opinion of this stock going back to 50 now that it's back in the 102. So if it's above that 104.69, no way are you going to be shorting this stock. So right now I'm waiting to see, just like that Carvana, let the bulls have their moment. And then if you roll, you slam it. But remember, guys, we just had 4 days of selling. That might be it because it's always it. As a bear, every time I think, oh, this time is going to be a little different, we're going to get something to the downside, it just doesn't happen. So these 4 days have been awesome. Let's just sit here for a second, and I'm going to go back to just trading my options, trading my earnings report. So I'm looking at Kava for a short now, but again, I'd like to see it above 105, get a better running start. But I love this clove trade, and this is what we were talking about as a day trader. When you see a stock, but Kenny, the stock went up 30 cents. What are you getting all excited about? Excited? The stock faux show broed at $4. You could buy a stock with 1 cent risk. And I was just saying, again, we had a really nice conversation this morning. And I was saying, look, it's not about whether the trade works. What? It's not. It's about whether you understand why you're buying it, what are the risks, and what are you going to do when you're wrong. So that's why when a stock goes down to $4 and it goes to $3.99 and comes right back to $4, you're buying it at $4, you're risking 1 penny. And then you Andy Dufresne, and then you Kardashian bottom above the VWAP, and a $4 stock going up 40 cents. That's a 10% move.
I love that we have our own language now. With faux show broad, you got the Andy Dufresne, Kardashian bottom above the view. It's like great.
Right. And,
great.
And again, when you look at them, now zoom out, the stock went up 10%. I remember days when you'd have to wait a year for a stock to go up 10%. And here it is, just isolating your risk reward. You're risking a penny. You don't know it's going to go up 40%, but look at this beautiful uptrend that formed, just like Cliff. So Cliffy, one of my faves. I used to trade this stock as a religion. It was my favorite. I used to be all about the Cliffs and the Alcoas and the U.S. Steels, the KMIs. You guys know where I'm coming from, Apache, Schlumberger. I've been trading them all my life, so I'm really familiar with these. Stock gets slammed down to $10. Big algorithmic number. And again, I was looking for a double bottom, but then it starts to rally. I'm buying the stock at 10.08 with an 8-cent risk because if it breaks 10, you're going to be a loser. And then look, here's the faux show bro again. So these stocks where they're on the outside looking in, you're like, what are you getting all excited about? It's a $10 stock. It went up 40 cents. Yeah, that's day trading. If I could risk a penny to make 40 cents on 2,000 shares, that's $800. Most people have to work a week to make that money. And that's trading. And we were banging them out lately. It's unbelievable how awesome this market really is. And you just got to sit back and wait. So, the fear of missing out, there doesn't even exist anymore. If you think you're chasing something, if you think you don't have the best price, sit back and wait. It'll come to you, just like every other trade. And it's just a great environment. Be patient, my friends. We're going to get paid on something today. You know it. But I want to talk more about this close because they're reporting earnings tomorrow. And if anybody's in this trade and you bought more yesterday with me, I'm debating whether or not to even hold it into the earnings. I think this stock's going to $7. And again, I don't like many stocks, but I like this setup because it's a quadruple Andy Dufresne. I know it's crazy. Look at this thing. So look how awful this stock has been for so long. And it came out of the muck a couple of times, and then it went back into the muck to come back in. And now we're just looking for it to come back out and get back to that $7 area. So I probably have to hold this one into earnings. They're going to report tomorrow night. And
you don't do that.
I know. I don't. And I usually lose. But I'm probably going to be looking at the 450 calls are going to be maybe 10 cents. That's what I'm probably going to be looking at as a gamble going into the number.
All right. Kenny Glick, hitthebid.com. Kenny, we'll see you later for the video stream, right?
All right. Yeah. I'll see you at the casino. Save the bear guy.
Kenny's literally going to be doing that video from the casino. True story. All right. See you, Kenny. Let's bring on today's guest, Caleb Franzen, in the house. He sent over quite a few charts, actually. We'll be talking. Let's see. Let's take a look at the charts he sent over real fast before I bring him on. We've got not those. Okay, we got some Bitcoin charts. We got some S&P charts with bonds. We got mega cap growth, cloud computing. Great, let's do it. Here we go.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Yo,
Caleb Franzen. What's up, buddy?
what's going on, guys? Hyped.
Is his mic okay?
Me?
Caleb, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's all good.
All right.
Dude, I got the AirPod mics, man. These are the best.
Yeah, you're okay. Where are you?
Montenegro. I'm in a small town called Tivat.
Good beaches?
The beaches are all right. They have an amazing port here, some mega yachts. I'm telling you, it's like Jeff Bezos is here. I swear to God.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah. So,
where are you going next? What's next?
dude, I have no idea. I'm supposed to be out of here in 2 weeks, but I might stay, I might leave, but I'll be here in Europe for sure.
You know, you could do some like real boots on the ground stuff. Okay, it's a brand new bull market.
I think that's what he is doing. I thought.
But for international equities, like Europe hasn't been this exciting, and I don't know how long. Probably my whole career.
But
I'm
Steve,
excited.
what am I supposed to be doing? Buy Albanian stocks? What are we talking about here?
Like what's happening in Poland that there's so much relative strength? You should go find these things out. No.
No.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Isn't Germany in like a recession now? Like,
Yeah, recession in Europe, Caleb. Right, but that was like a quarter or two ago. At this point, I believe. Did you feel it?
I'm trying to keep this economy alive, man. I swear to God.
Are you supporting the local businesses?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I know you frequent some coffee shops.
Oh, plenty of them.
Yeah. Big coffee shop culture in these countries. Is that right?
Yeah, especially out here in the Balkans. If you're in Croatia,
right.
Albania, Montenegro, it's like people just hang out at these cafes for like 3-4 hours and they're just chatting it up. They're drinking sodas, they're drinking waters, they're drinking, sparkling water.
Yeah. Right.
And they're running espressos all day, you know? So
do they not work? Do these people not have jobs?
You know, I ask myself that question all the time, Spencer.
And how are they making coffee? Like, are they doing drip coffee or it's all espresso based out there?
If you get a drip coffee in Europe, they're going to deport you. So,
can't.
you know,
They don't have them, right?
Some places, oddly enough, will, but I mean, dude, I'm getting flat whites with my oat milk.
Yeah,
going with the espressos, double shot. You know, we're living it up.
Yeah, I think you just go with the espresso. Like that's have some class. Don't go asking for a drip coffee. I go to my French bakery here and I get a regular coffee because they have it. But every time, dude, and she knows me. It's the same lady. I'm the same guy. And I ask for a regular coffee, Americano. I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but just a coffee. You know,
it's just water and coffee, man.
Anyway, are you sure?
As long as you're not saying espresso, you're all good.
Yeah. All right, Caleb, I thought you were going to come on here today. I was excited. I thought we were going to have a cage match. You've been one of the most vocal Bitcoin bulls, MicroStrategy bulls. You've absolutely nailed it. Been reading your research lately, but I missed your weekend note, and we're thinking the same exact thing out here. So I didn't know. This is an update for me. Let's bring everybody up to date, right? Because I know you've been on here recently, but you've been a vocal MicroStrategy bull. It's been the single best bullish vehicle, right, to express a bet on crypto, at least in the equities market, all cycle. Nothing's come close. You're out though, and I guess you've been scaling out or getting out gradually over the course of a month or two. Is that right?
I got out 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. I sold in halves, so I'm officially out now. Just sat on cash. With that, my original intention was to rotate that money into BTCL, which is a 2x leverage spot Bitcoin ETF. But I didn't do that. I did buy some yesterday actually for BTCL. And so what I actually did on Monday, I wasn't planning on doing this when I was first kind of reviewing the potential trade over the weekend, but I bought MSTZ, which is the 2x inverse MicroStrategy ETF. And I made like 35% on that in like a session and a half. Yeah, exactly. So I'm out of that now as well. But yeah, I'm officially out of the MicroStrategy trade. I think more likely than not, it's probably peaked for the cycle, and especially on a relative basis versus Bitcoin, I think it's probably peaked.
Talk about that thought process though, because as bullish as you were, right, you have no problem flipping the book and getting short, right? It's almost like when the party ends, you're able to look at it and then actually make the assessment that this is probably now the best vehicle in the opposite direction, right? It's really about beta. I think this call as much as anything. If you're going to make a downside bet on the one that's likely to fall the most. And it was really the same kind of thesis coming in. But talk about how you're able to just kind of turn on a dime like that over a matter of 2 months from bull to bear. You don't care. Emotionless.
I did the same thing with the Bitcoin miners last year, right? I mean, you'll remember that 100%, right? And I got so much criticism for that at the time. And, you know, then everyone was crawling back a few months later. But you know, so yeah, you know, I'm trying to be as emotionless as possible. I think the thing that really got me concerned with MicroStrategy in particular is the fact that the stock, when I was looking at it over the weekend, was down 45%, while Bitcoin's only down 12. Yeah. And so when the premium to NAV was trading at 3.4x at its peak in November, then we should expect to see a 3.4x magnitude decline. The problem with that assessment is the following. The premium to NAV has shrunk to 1.5. So as that premium to NAV shrinks, the leverage effect should also shrink. But the fact of the matter is we were seeing it sell off even more. It was selling off more than 4x.
So that's a change in character. That's a change in the relationship between Bitcoin and MicroStrategy. The way that I look at something like that is they reprice securities all the time, right? Google or an Amazon can get repriced from 25x to 20x. Right? And people are looking at it. The fundamentals haven't changed. They just reprice the stock. People are willing to pay less for it. Is that all this is for MicroStrategy? Just a standard repricing? Things got overheated?
It's a repricing to a degree, but my concern was really coming from the fact that, yeah, but when Saylor is theoretically adding more premium to NAV by going out and issuing common stock, so on and so forth, but we're seeing it shrink. That to me is a vote of confidence from the market, or it's the absence of a vote of confidence that Bitcoin is going to stay where it's trading, and that most likely there's a bit more downside here. And my intention is not to sell any of my Bitcoin, right? And so if I don't want to sell any BTC, the way that I'm going to quote unquote hedge that exposure,
love it,
is to short MicroStrategy in that particular. And look, I made 35%. I did a tweet about it. I was like, look, I've paid for my Airbnbs for the next 3 months.
The sentiment has really caught my attention. I think you're alluding to it when you say the way that MicroStrategy is reacting to buying Bitcoin and different headlines and news is different today than it was, I don't know, just a couple months ago.
Yep.
What really got me, so last week, have you seen? These are the most bullish headlines in crypto. This is the most bullish news cycle for crypto I've seen in so long. It doesn't stop, right? First crypto president, talking about the Bitcoin reserve, a friendly SEC. Brian Armstrong and Coinbase announced last week they're finally dropping the suit. Fine, probably not a surprise at this point. People saw it coming. Still, that headline sends Coinbase up 10% a couple months ago, last year. Then this week, oh, by the way, Coinbase breaks down from a tactical top on that news the exact day. Strange. So I'm looking and saying, what the hell is going on? This is a little bit different. Michael Saylor meets with the SEC. We were unsure of what they were even doing. This new Bitcoin strategy would be okay. We thought SEC might be after them just a few years ago. Now he's getting private meetings with the SEC. What does MicroStrategy do on that news? Breaks down from a top. It's just, this is a very different environment from the one that we've come from. And from a sentiment reaction perspective, this is bear market stuff. These are bear market reactions. Call me crazy.
Or maybe they're not necessarily bear market reactions, but they are topping reactions, right? I mean,
Jeez.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a concern, right? I mean, there's a lot of concerns. The thing that I would push back on here is there have been a lot of concerns over the last 12, 18, 24, 28 months. And even if we kind of go through this kind of sideways consolidation dynamic, we resolve higher, right? And so the market has done a really amazing job, whether we're talking about equities, whether we're talking about Bitcoin, the market's done an amazing job at coming back and being super resilient, right? And so that kind of becomes a debate now, right? Is like, are we really entering a regime change? Or are we just kind of going through that typical sideways consolidation range that we've experienced several times over the course of this bull market? I tend to lean towards the latter, but I think I'm probably more cautious now than I've been at any point over the bull market.
Right now, this is tactical trend damage when we're talking about MicroStrategy, Coinbase, Bitcoin, right? However, it could turn into more primary trend damage. For me, the biggest level out there, I think, is Solana 120, right? Because this was a little top in Solana that we were talking about breaking down last week. At 120, that's the kind of top where, man, you look back in the year and say, what a massive distribution pattern. What was I thinking? That's a scary looking top. I think that would change things for me from a primary trend perspective. What do you think about Solana being that?
It looks terrible, man. I mean, all these charts look terrible, right? And that's kind of been the point. I remember in June of 2023, though, I think it was in June of 2023, but I was looking at altcoins once again. I was saying, man, all of these things look absolutely terrible. And then they ripped in my face, you know? And so it's just, that becomes a challenge here, right? Is like when we're trying to use kind of our TA hats, which is I think how we should probably approach markets anyways. Sometimes the market just gives it a middle finger, right? And I think we just need to be prepared for that. So I don't know, that becomes a dilemma, right? These charts all look like crap, but when there's this excessive amount of fear, I was getting calls and texts yesterday left and right, even on Monday's session. Literally everyone I know thinks the market is headed lower in the short term.
That's that bad?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I saw a chart this morning from the daily chart book, and they were looking at the median short interest for S&P 500 stocks, and it's the highest it's been since early 2020. Right? And so even we're seeing that pessimistic positioning, even in equities, really severely here. Yep. To match with the sentiment. I mean, we can laugh and poke fun at the fear and greed index, but I think when we hit these extreme levels of fear, this is the kind of the point where you need to plug your nose a little bit and just buy stuff. You need to plant these seeds, and then 1, 2, 3 months down the line, we're able to take the fruit off the tree.
Yep. No, I love it. Also in your note, I really like the treasury stuff. Talk to me about what you're doing. Right, so you're adding a little, I don't know, I would call it safe haven exposure. What is it?
Yeah, sure. Can I share my screen on this actually?
Please do.
Okay, awesome. Let me know when you guys can see it. Are we good?
Yep, we're up. Maybe make it a little bigger, go into present mode or something so we can, there we go.
Okay, this works, right?
Yep.
Okay, so on the top we have the S&P 500. In the bottom we have SPY relative to TLT. big character shift here where we're basically seeing a bearish divergence where SPY relative to TLT failed to produce a higher high while the S&P 500 did produce a higher high, right? And so that higher low, or excuse me, that lower high, and now we're experiencing a significantly lower low is a big cause for concern. I think right now this is telling us in the short term, risk reward is favorable for treasuries over stocks. And so I think this is really key. At the same time though, right, if we look at SPY relative to TLT, we might see a bit more downside here, okay? What I have on here is the 125-day EMA and the 250-day EMA. These might sound like arbitrary numbers, but it's exactly 6 months and 1 year in traditional financial markets, right? There's 250 trading days in a year. Cut that in half, we're looking at 125. Okay, every single time over the course of this bull market since the middle of 2020, we've used this band as dynamic support. And so I can recognize we might see a little bit more downside here in stocks relative to treasuries, moving into that kind of EMA cloud, if you will. And eventually, I think we're probably going to rebound on that zone. But I think we do have substantial concern here. Not substantial, but substantive, I guess is the better word here. There's substantive concern here that we're going to move a little bit lower. I happen to think we're just going to rebound on that level. But I think treasuries here look just fine.
This is just such great analysis. How much do you weigh this for your broader market thesis? Like if this chart were to roll over, are you like, okay, bull market for stocks is over?
Yeah. If SPY falls below that level, I would reduce a lot of my long-term equity exposure. And if we got right back above that level, I'd get right back in.
Right.
I might be blanking on the guy's name who was on the show yesterday. Was it Michael Coos?
Adam
Coos. Okay, apologies, Adam. But I love what you guys were kind of talking about in that on that call, because you were basically saying if we get above, we get back in. If we get below, we get out, and we'll keep taking those trades over and over again. I'm going to be the same way, but I'm just going to use it around that dynamic moving average, right? And so if we fall below it, yes, I will significantly reduce equity exposure, and if we get right back above, I'll buy it all back.
Do you ever think about the edge that we have by just managing our own money? You ever think about that?
Huge.
Yeah, sometimes I do think about that.
It's so refreshing. Like I was laughing on the show yesterday about how bad some of the decisions I make are, and that's so fine. If you're not making like bad decisions, I'll get stopped out of something 3 times. Keep buying it. I couldn't do that if I was an advisor.
Yeah, it's. I think it's easier to be self-accountable and be like, okay, look, I had a thesis, I made a mistake, and I corrected that mistake, rather than having to explain it to someone else with their own money.
Because you almost get one shot. Right? Like, what if you got bullish China last year in the fall, got screamed at for it because you had to ride out a corrective wave for 3 months, and then you get taken out of it. You don't buy it back. Now you just kind of miss that for your people. Just a tough game to play. Anyway, things that I think about. I think, when it comes to crypto, dude, I've sold so much. You join us on Spaces, you're paying attention to what we're saying on the morning shows and stuff. I feel like I've been selling crypto since like Christmas. Little by little, we've talked about the Solana. I'm just tired. I'm tired of the messy action in crypto. And I'm probably going to try to get back in, right, and get stopped out again. I probably haven't lost as much money as I'll ultimately lose in my getting out phase. And I'm ready for it. Like, it gets choppy. It gets wild. I'm in and out. Like, because the problem is when you look at these big patterns, think of Solana. It's a massive, massive consolidation. Is it accumulation? Is it distribution? If it's not one, it's going to end up being the other. Right? So you got to be ready to flip it if and when you're wrong. I don't know if that happens tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, 3 years from now. But I'm not going to give my money back.
Yeah, I get it. And I mean, the criticism that I maybe have for myself is I've been taking profits along the way in these altcoins and the short-term positions that I've been taking, but I've been rolling all of that into BTC. Right. And so when I'm rolling that in the BTC, and I'm trying to be selective about when and where I'm doing that, but obviously when we're making, multi-month lows, my net worth is going down pretty substantially here, especially when Bitcoin makes up more than 70% of my personal net worth.
You've made a lot of the right moves. You've been super overweight the cryptos and the right vehicles within the crypto space. Do you ever kind of look at stuff? You've been around for a couple cycles now. I know you're not an old guy, but you're not the youngest guy out here either, right? You've seen cycles, you've seen them end. You know what happens. Sometimes it happens fast, sometimes it happens really slow, and you get these massive topping formations. Do you ever kind of look at how you've done for the cycle as a whole and say, that's pretty solid? I don't need to push it here. I don't need to take on excess risk in the later innings of a cycle. Like, do you think that way and make different decisions? Do you protect more in the later stages? Do you protect more because you've done so well already this cycle, or no?
I tend to tighten risk management up the longer and longer we go, right? So my stops get much more aggressive.
Yep.
But at the same time, right, like those stops might get aggressive, but then I'm willing to take a new trade as soon as there's another setup come in, right? And so I've been doing that, and so I've given stuff back. But I mean, if I think about things, right, in January, my crypto portfolio made new all-time highs. So that's being a substantial part of my net worth. In February, literally just last week, my long-term equity portfolio is making new all-time highs. So I'm literally richer than I've ever been. And the last week has obviously sucked ass. But, you know, I mean, here we are, right? I mean, this is the ebb and flow of stuff, right? If I felt like a genius a month ago, and I didn't feel like a genius a month ago, but, you know, I think Jeff Bezos had this great quote one time where he was like, you can't feel like a genius when your portfolio keeps going up, because then you need to call yourself an idiot when it's going down. And so both things can't be true, right? So it's better to just not think you're a genius or an idiot, right? And just recognize, sometimes I think you just have to throw your hands up and say, look, bull markets have pullbacks. Consolidations are a natural part of market dynamics. And also, I'm going to be wrong plenty of times, right? I'm certainly not infallible. I've made a lot of mistakes over the course of this bull market. So, you know, I just think from that perspective, right, part of the game here is a war of attrition at the same time, right? And these kind of time-based consolidations can be really brutal as well.
What would take you out of Bitcoin for now?
If we fall below the 200-day moving average, would be a big cause for concern. I think right now, I think that's trading around 85K or 80. Sorry, I think it's around 83,000.
And you just get out and look for some sort of basing action, and then like plan to get back in soon, kind of thing, but protect yourself from any further downside.
It would probably be the same dynamic that I was talking about with equities, right? Where it's like, okay, if we fall, so for me, I use that 200-day moving average cloud. That's at 81,000 as the lower bound of that. So if we fall below 81.5, I will be reducing maybe 10 to 20% of my Bitcoin exposure.
Will you hold on to some always?
Yes.
Regardless of the primary trend?
Yep.
Right. You're going to put. I'm trying to do the same thing. It's hard though.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I've just learned my lesson on that. You know, I think now that I've been here in BTC for several years, it's just like, am I really going to be able to outperform this in terms of allocating as much capital as I can into it and holding that capital, right?
Yeah.
Because, for example, I made this mistake in the 2022 bear market as I sold a lot of BTC at 30,000. And then I wasn't buying back as much as I should have when we were between 15 and 25.
For sure. And then it gets away from you.
Yep.
And you hate your cost basis.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so like part of me just recognizes if you buy Bitcoin on something like the 200-day moving average, and you just wait 2 years, you're probably going to have a really good return. Right? And you're probably going to outperform the S&P. You're probably going to outperform the NASDAQ. It's going to be volatile as hell. But one thing's really interesting about this. I can almost guarantee that my mom has outperformed almost every single trader who's watching this, because she doesn't check her Coinbase account. She doesn't even have the app on her phone. She doesn't even know where it's trading. And, you know, we bought a lot of that for her in 2022, in 2020, and she's doing a heck of a job. Right.
So she bought the highest beta asset in a bull market and then just left it alone. Who knew it could be so simple?
Sometimes it's really that easy.
Love that.
Yeah.
Did you tell her about China or no?
No, I have not told her about China.
Seriously, where's your head at there? So you've been, you know, big U.S. growth guy. That's fair to say, right? Growth equities, most of what you're doing. Are you going to shift? Do you rotate it? People are rotating out here. It's becoming a little popular over the short term. I don't love that, but a lot of international talk. Are you rethinking the way that you're exposed to equities on a more global scale right now?
No, I'm not. I think, you know, kudos if the China trade keeps working. But I think if the China trade is working, then Bitcoin's probably working. I think U.S. stocks are probably still working. And so maybe there's some, you know, marginal outperformance that you're able to get. Not even marginal, right? If there's outperformance that you can get from there, great. I've just seen it get burned too many times, man. And maybe I have some PTSD from that sense, right? But, you know, I look at charts like FXI relative to U.S. large cap. So that's FXI divided by SCHX. I mean, that's in a 15-year downtrend, right? And we go through these periods of maybe 3 to 6 months of outperformance. and then it fades. So, I've been telling traders this now for maybe the past month or two is if you think we're going to go through one of those periods of outperformance, take the trade, manage the risk, but you have to have an ability to get out too. Yeah, make it a trade. Exactly. So I've been telling people, like, look, if you're a long-term investor, stay away from these things. If you're trying to take a 3 to 6 month thesis and extrapolate that into the market,
Great.
Take the swing. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to tell you don't.
If you did it in Q4 of 2022 at the very, very beginning of the bull market, that was a great move. But I think right now there's a little bit of a recency bias overhang from the people who got head faked in Q4 of 2022. That's still fresh, right? So imagine if you made that big shift then. And frankly, if you abandoned U.S. growth stocks for anything else at any time over the past decade and a half,
it's been a mistake.
It was a mistake. So that's tough for people. So I think this trend, when it finally takes hold from a longer term perspective, will have legs. I think there'll be a big chase dynamic there. There's just a lot of people aren't in these trades right now. Also, there aren't even many good vehicles as like a U.S. investor. Dude, look at the ADR list for Europe. Like slim pickings out there.
It is really slim pickings. And so I think that the best way to do it then is via these ETFs.
Yeah, what do you like? Like you like the Fez, the big diversifieds, the VGK, EFA.
Dude, I don't even know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even really keep a significant pulse on those things. Occasionally I'll look at these like international market dynamics.
Yeah.
And essentially just continue to validate that U.S. is outperforming. I think one of the things that's been pretty interesting actually is I saw this chart from FactSet looking at S&P 500 corporate earnings. And the S&P 500 stocks that are generating the best earnings growth right now are the companies that are generating the most amount of revenue outside of the U.S.
That's interesting.
So those are the companies that are generating the strongest earnings growth. So I think more so than anything else, and I haven't looked into this enough, but it's been on my mind, is invest in the U.S. companies that are generating the most amount of revenue overseas. That might be interesting. So if you could find the tech and or the growth stocks in the U.S. that are generating foreign income, that'd be great.
That's a short dollar bet.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Right. Caleb, where do you get the time to write so much? I mean, I love it. You have so many thoughts.
Yeah.
But holy cow, some of these reports that you're putting out, they're deep, they're detailed, they're so thoughtful. I just think you do such a great job with all this. I don't know where you find the time because I see you having fun out there in Europe. And I see the giant reports like every day. So kudos to you. You're just doing such great work. You keep nailing these calls. And I think the crypto stuff is going to be really interesting. It's nice to know that you're feeling a little bit more cautious with me.
You just have to face objective reality. When we're seeing credit spreads make lower highs, but stocks are making higher highs, that's a concern. We're seeing equal weight discretionary relative to equal weight staples make lower highs while the rest of the market is making higher highs. That's a divergence, right? That's a bit of a concern. So I have to be aware of that. And regarding the newsletter stuff, dude, I wear this proudly. I'm a fucking nerd, So I write this stuff. I do one sitting. I always start with a blank canvas and I just start writing and just see where things go. I have no preconceived notion about what I'm about to write when I start. And I just kind of see where things go. Each of those newsletters takes me probably, I would say like 3 to 6 hours. And so I just do them in one sitting and I publish them the same day. I hardly edit them and I just let them rip. So, yeah.
I love it, man. Always enjoy our conversations. Is there anything that you're watching, through the end of the week, maybe to signal some sort of tradable low for risk assets here? What are you paying attention to?
Look, I really want to see something like the Fidelity Information Technology ETF rebound around these levels. We're retesting those July of 2024 highs. I really want to see SKYY, that's the cloud computing ETF, put in a low here as well. Yep. I think the one thing that I was feeling really optimistic about yesterday was the fact that RSP, equal weight S&P 500, actually closed the day up positive.
Yeah, strange.
Yeah, but we also saw the S&P 500 erase half of its daily losses yesterday, right? So buyers came in and we closed above the halfway point of the intraday price action. I thought that was great as well, right? So yes, it was a down day for the S&P. It was a positive day for equal weight. But I think there were some signs there. And where's the market trading right now, right? If we look at SPY, look, we're up 1/3% today. So we're seeing some of this continued buying dynamic come in, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see investors have enough risk appetite to buy stocks on a discount.
Yep, and you're getting a little bit of follow through here on those big lower shadows that we had yesterday. So,
yeah, I think you just got to buckle up a little bit here.
all right, Caleb, this
Yeah.
has been fun as always. Enjoy Montenegro.
Peace, bro. Talk soon.
Okay, Spencer.
Hey.
Really good stuff. Love Caleb's work. You know, he doesn't work with us. I don't get paid for this. I barely have enough time to read all of the research that we do here.
Me too.
I do make time to read Caleb's stuff because I really think it's that good. It's really, really thoughtful stuff.
The link to Caleb's Twitter and Substack are both in the description on YouTube. Check it out.
Awesome. So look, it's a Wednesday. It's a slow week. Nvidia is everything, right? Maybe this puts a spark back in the market. This trade has been dead for a long time.
Well, we were saying last week how Nvidia sneakily had a good February up until last week, right? So, a lot's changed in the last few days, but
it won't top, but it also won't resolve higher. You know, Nvidia's been a range-bound situation, like a lot of large cap growth, for a while now. This traces all the way back to June of last year, Spencer. We're in the same place. Absolutely no progress for Nvidia for 8 months now.
And
so that's interesting. You could say maybe there's a lot of built-up energy in this consolidation, right? And that can result in an explosive move. But I would say, considering some of the intermarket action, in which direction does it come? You'll know that the end is near for the broader cycle, and at least for the U.S. mega cap growth theme, which will take the major averages with it. If and when it happens, you will know that the end is near when they stop rewarding Nvidia for these incredible earnings reports.
Well, on that note, hold on, before I bring on Mary, I just want
whatever happens today, Spencer, if the reaction is negative in a way that it breaks this range, it's very bad. If whatever happens today results in a positive reaction that resolves this range higher, here we go. New leg up, right? So I do think it's that important. I don't think it's the most important day of my life.
I'm seeing an expected move of around 10% today. Someone wants to check my math on that, but around 10% is what the options market is pricing in.
You've made out betting against a big move on earnings for a couple quarters now.
They haven't been big. That's
right.
You're right.
You've gotten a more muted reaction than the market was pricing in, right? So you would have wanted to sell that premium. Maybe that changes, right? Because it's been a couple quarters now of not much. Maybe you do get a big move. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
these reports, right? These earnings days often act as the catalysts for resolutions from ranges like the one Nvidia is in. So pay attention. Whichever way it goes will be big information.
Yeah, and I think what Christos just said in the chat is that's like the most likely scenario is that it's kind of a nothing burger, right? And nothing really changes. And
they keep getting used to that.
And Nvidia keeps saying, yeah, we are drowning in money and we're making all of the chips and we have all of the orders, but market doesn't reward it in the same way. So you're right. It's happened a few times in a row.
You hear how much money some of these companies are still planning to spend? Did you hear the new Meta stuff?
I heard the Apple stuff.
Okay. Anybody on the internet or in financial media who is poo-pooing these companies for spending these insane amounts of money. I mean, you've never seen CapEx like this in the history of markets. Like, there's no such thing, right? It's brand new. If your take is that it's irresponsible or doesn't make sense to make these investments, then you are so far removed from what's happening here. You're just totally missing the bigger picture. They have to spend this kind of money to assert any sort of dominance in AI, right? Or take any sort of leadership position. The way that your stock will be valued if you can get into that position is insane, and they all want it. They're all after it. Whether they're spending 10 billion, 20 billion, 80 billion, like I heard from Meta, they have it. They have the money. They know how to make it. They're willing to take these bets. That's how they got here. It's how these companies got in the position that they're in today, making outsized, risky bets on mega growth trends. and they're going to keep doing it, and it's the right thing to do. So anybody who's out here saying, "Oh, this is crazy, they're spending too much money," first of all, it's not going to stop because the money's there.
Well, yeah, I guess by and large, these tech companies have shown more often than not that they are pretty good allocators of capital. But also, like, you can afford to do a lot of bullshit when you make the iPhone, right? Or when you have a monopoly or a duopoly on internet advertising, right? So it's like, are they so good, or are they just afforded the ability to screw up a lot because they have a
No, but
right?
it's that's the formula is what it is. They have to miss. They have
Right.
to miss, and take these swings to hit big. It's
Right.
just the game that they're playing. Do you remember what was it 2 years ago when Metaverse or Meta spent all the money on the Metaverse?
That's what I was thinking.
Monster miss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at them today. Why? Because they had the money and they kept swinging, so they just hit the next big thing.
Yeah. By the way, just let's put NVIDIA in context here. So, like, it's a $3 trillion company, right? If I go back a year ago, February 26th of last year, is $1.8 trillion. So it's like it's gained $1 trillion, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
How much bigger can these things get?
I don't know.
Yeah. I think that way about some of these cryptos too, right now, to be honest.
Also,
I think
not
that
going
way-
down isn't inherently a bad thing. Not going up isn't really a bad thing if you're not going down, right? It's just kind of meandering. It's stuck.
All right, here's the truth. From my point of view, I've been looking at a lot of these things for a while now, kind of thinking to myself, this is kind of so Robinhood. Did you see the news today? Robinhood just recently was a $50 billion company. They've become they're press release junkies, right? They're just saying shit. You could bet on the Super Bowl, not right. You could buy houses on our app. No freaking way. You need people who can afford houses to be on your app first. They just drop press releases, and they've gotten used to the stock just soaring higher. No one in their right mind would ever pay $50 billion for this business, for Robinhood. Never. Not no. In no world would that happen. It's just not there. Some of the valuations, at least in the US growth space, have gotten kind of silly here. Apple is not growing.
Robinhood's market cap is still not as high as it was
43 billion
post IPO. So
it's a pretty junky asset. And that's a pretty big market cap. See my cat moving my camera? You see that? Excuse me.
Yeah, I did. I mean, the all-time high on Robinhood's market cap was 60 billion in August of 21, right?
Yeah,
So,
way too much. Way too many billions.
well, we're in the 40s now.
I'm not trying to pick on Robinhood. Like, I can go down the line. All right, I got another one for you. So, Ripple.
Oh God. Okay.
So, guess the market cap on the Ripple, please?
I haven't looked at Ripple in God knows how long. Just tell me.
$130 billion.
Jesus, Murphy. Yeah.
I don't know. If it ended
but every time I said that, you guys make fun of me. Like, so.
Well, the charts look like shit now. How's that for a difference? If you told me that this all ended here today, I could look at these valuations and say, yeah, that's reasonable.
Every time I roll my eyes at a crypto market cap, you guys make fun of me because it's the prices and that matters. So I don't know, but yes, I think they're all silly. Doesn't mean I don't own a couple of them, but they're all silly, right?
Shopify has $150 billion market cap. Are they even profitable?
Oh, come on.
Palantir.
Shopify was like the darling. Yes, they're profitable.
Palantir has a $210 billion market cap. Stock's gone from 10 to 100. 2 years.
Everything I hear about Shopify is that everyone seems to. This is a broad generalization, but people who like it, they seem to like it for the long term. Like,
yeah, totally.
Yeah,
this is one of the longest duration, equities out there. Yeah. This thing gets valued on earnings from many years in the future. That's how they're trading at 100 times PE right now, or whatever the hell it is, probably 150. Absolutely silly. You can't value companies.
We're complaining about market caps. We've reached that point of the cycle where we are complaining about market caps. I didn't see that coming in February. We got Mary here. Let's bring her on, and then we'll hop out.
Yeah.
Hey, Spencer.
Hey,
Good
going
morning. Good morning. Where'd Steve go?
He's around. I don't know. Are you complaining about market caps just like Steve is? Or is this a thing for you? Or
I don't look at market caps.
okay,
Look at what?
what's that?
No, I'm complaining this morning about TrendSpider. I love TrendSpider, don't get me wrong, but I can't get into my charts today for whatever reason.
Oh no.
So I didn't bring really charts along with me. We're going to recycle some that you guys have shared here in the last couple of days because it's really what I wanted to talk about anyway. So the first one, this is the one that last week really spoke to me. This is consumer discretionary versus staples, hitting that previous resistance and selling off. And so when things started to go sideways south last week, I started lightening up my positions along with, seems like everybody else, taking some profits from some of the high winners. Like you guys were just talking about Robinhood, took some more profits in Robinhood, along with a lot of other speculative growthy type stuff. Just because that, started to feel like we were going to get some whatever correction this is, or just profit taking, or if there's something more on the horizon, we'll know that in hindsight. But so I'm sitting in a lot more, not a lot more, but a bit more cash than usual. And that's what I've been doing so far, is sitting. The other two charts that I wanted to just kind of reference, and you guys have talked about these now in the last couple of days, the home builders and then the semis. And we have talked time and time again about, if these complete tops and break down, bull market over. And so today's report, I know you guys have talked about NVIDIA. I think for me, I'm sitting on my hands until this report comes out and we see the reaction. Just because, this is a very logical place for people to step in and buy these. I was actually really surprised, or not surprised, but interested in, I was looking at the home builders yesterday, and I pulled up all of our names in Rangefinder just out of curiosity to see kind of where things were at. And everything in Rangefinder from the home builder side was green. So like Lennar and Toll Brothers, DR Horton, KB Homes, Pulte, they were all up 2, 3, 4, 5% yesterday. And, so it's that interesting level of, is this where they're going to step in and buy them? NVIDIA comes out with a good report and it, doesn't break down. And we, semis don't break down. Is this just, the pause before we continue back up and bull market back on? So that's kind of, for me, that's what I'm watching. China continues to work, so I didn't take anything off the table on that. I'm still in most of my crypto position just because I've been holding it for so long. And that's probably the bias of, the cost basis. I bought this stuff so cheap that I'm just not quite ready to let it go yet, because if there's one thing I've learned about crypto is we have these wild shakes, and they haven't been as wild here in the last year or so, but we get those really dramatic kind of shakeouts. And I know you, Steve, you'll probably talk about the continuation here in the last couple of days, but I'm just not ready to let it go. And I know that's all bias.
No,
don't. All about the bias.
Don't let them.
No, that's terrible, Mary. You're better than that. Don't listen to Spencer. This is the mistake. I've made this mistake too many times.
And I've made it too. I know. I did it the first time around in crypto.
Mary,
I held on way too long.
Protect yourself. It's not a great trade until you get paid. And just because it's made money doesn't mean it's not money. You don't want to look at it any different. You should come in every morning and look at that money as something you got to protect. Doesn't matter if it went 2, 3, 4, 5x from where you started. That's money that you now need to protect.
And I've been taking profit along the way. Don't get me wrong. I've been taking profit along the way. And like I said, I cashed out of some stuff last week. But yeah, I'm just not ready to completely throw in the towel.
Well, one thing is, it's easier than ever to put on a hedging trade with regards to crypto. If you want to hedge yourself and you didn't want to like trade anything, you didn't want to actually sell.
Yeah,
that's a nice thing about this market today. Is
guess what else that means, Spencer? Because it's
you can buy something.
Hold on, this is a great point. You can finally bet against crypto in liquid markets with big money. For the first time ever. This is the first time ever. Hedge funds can short the hell out of this thing. This was not the case just a few years ago. So just keep that in mind going into a new bear market. That for the first time, you're going to have institutions throwing around some real money on the short side. It's never happened before.
But here's the thing, I can't, because of what China's doing and because the dollar's doing what it's doing. I can't let a couple of days, maybe even a week, shake me out quite yet. And quite frankly, maybe after today and NVIDIA, and if we start to lose the homies and we start to lose the semis, that's a totally different story. I'm not ready to give up on the space. Yeah, I guess I'm in the camp with Caleb, huh?
And me.
Caleb's short in MicroStrategy.
Oh, is it? I missed that part, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I think you got to trade what's in front of you, Mary.
it's true. I know the
Wait.
chart. I get that. The chart, it's not looking pretty. And like I said, maybe by the end of the week I will be out, depending on how things shake out here in the next day or two and how we close the week with the semis and homies.
And never forget, I say this all the time. This is America. You are so free to change your mind. You could get out this morning and back in tonight. Nobody's stopping you.
But that's where the bias comes in, though, right? Because I bought all this stuff so freaking cheap, I don't want to let it go because it was
erase that idea from your mind. Just because you nailed a good entry doesn't mean you got to blow your exit.
It's so true. But I mean, the bias is real. And I say that to tell people we all struggle with it. I'm struggling with it right now.
This is the house money complex that you're struggling with.
Yes.
You got too much house money. Great problem to have. First world problem to have.
Yeah, first world problem. So that's where I'm at. And I'm digging around. I've been using Rangefinder a lot. I love Rangefinder. I mean, I talk about it all day long. But metals, I'm watching gold. And then, of course, silver. And regional banks, another one of those areas, again, kind of the bull market checklist, if you want to call it that. I was digging around in medical devices yesterday and setting some alerts. Yeah.
And what'd you find?
Well, it's because I don't have my Trend Spider open. I can't tell you what charts I marked up.
Yeah.
But Rangefinder is great for that. So I've been setting alerts. I've been starting to make a list of stocks that I would like to buy if we do get more of a serious correction. Like I'd like to get back into Palantir. I wrote that
we say that every time. These are great times to make your shopping list.
Lists. Yeah,
and
make a shopping list.
As someone who loves making lists, you guys should see how much time I spend making my Netflix watch list. I don't even watch the movies on there. I just make a list of things I want to watch one day, and then I never watch them. But it's so much fun. I like grocery lists. I like watch lists. Like I like all lists, man.
I like to-do lists because then I can check things off, and I feel so successful.
Look at this to-do list that I've got. Look at this whole page of to-do lists. I love to-do lists.
Hit recess. I want to talk about a new Netflix show.
Rangefinder. Call or email Mary to see if you don't have access. That's how. Is Mary is your gatekeeper. All right.
Is Full Swing on your streaming list?
Netflix?
Yeah. I watched I think the first 2 episodes of the first season, and then I just kind of gave up. But it's back, right?
This show is so well done, really is. Like, and I'm hard on Netflix a lot of times for their shows because I think they're typically done poorly. Full Swing is great, man. Like, if you think you don't like golf, if you think golf is boring, they're just following these guys around their day to day while they're on tour. They're all buddies. Like, it's so cool to see. Think of it as just, a full episode of behind the scenes footage on tour, and you get to know them, and they're all different characters. It's fun stuff, and there's a lot of stuff has been going on in the world of golf with the LIV and the PGA stuff, and Ryder Cup beefs, and Rory's always in the news for something, and it documents all of that, and I've found it's one of my favorite reality series in recent history. I just think it's so good. It's excellent. So glad it's back.
All right.
So it's golf. Yeah, I won't be watching that.
Mary has also a streaming related.
Also humans.
Recess.
I do. Yes. So
tell us about this.
I think this is on Prime. So a brand new movie out by Nicole Kidman called Holland, which, funny enough, is about more or less about my town where I live. So Holland, Michigan is where I live. She and the production crew actually came to Holland and shot here a couple of days. And so I watched this trailer yesterday. It's so humorous because there is a lot of kind of just, the perfect live and the perfect town and the perfect little festivals and, Main Street USA, that kind of stuff, which is very much kind of the community that I live in. But then underneath the surface, there's all this dark, like, stuff going on. And like, we go to the closet alcoholics, but you don't talk about it because you're Christian Reformed and all this kind of stuff. So anyway, all that to say, she was only here for a couple of days. And what's funny, one of the very first shots of Holland is like our windmill, and there's tulips. They were here in early spring. Well, early spring, you can get all kinds of weather. It was snowing when they were here. So they did all kinds of AI editing kind of stuff to this film because the weather was really crappy when they were here. But anyway, brand new movie out on Prime. I've not seen it. Go ahead.
Sorry. It's cool that it's about the town and it's actually taped in the town.
Well, a little bit.
That's
nice.
a
little bit. I definitely there were shots.
So cool.
Yeah,
to make a movie about your hometown, like that'd be pretty cool. It would never happen for me, but that'd be cool.
In the Florida Keys, they're constantly making shows and movies that are just all about the Florida Keys, however, not really taped in the Florida Keys.
Right? I mean, I get it. If their production was during winter and spring, you just can't tape here because the weather's crappy.
No, but it's fun.
Yeah.
You get to watch the movie and be like, "Oh, that was taped here, right?" Yeah.
So,
I like Nicole Kidman. I'm a big fan. Big Kidman fan.
All right. Reminder, noon Eastern today, Strazza is going live with Louis to talk crypto. I'm going to drop the link in the chat once more. There it is. And then 4 o'clock Eastern, I'll be live with JC and Kenny to react to NVIDIA in the earnings report, to end all earnings reports. It's going to be the last one ever, maybe. We'll find out.
Big day. How am I going to get anything done watching all these streams?
I don't know. A lot going on. Thank you to Caleb. Thanks, Kenny. Thanks, Mary. Thanks, chat. As always, do us a favor and hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Check out all of the links in our description, all of the free research we're putting out all every single day. Chart report, the hot corner, Strazza letter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And TBD on whether or not we're going to do a show tomorrow. If we do a show, Steve will be there. JC and I won't. If we don't do a show, we'll just replay and earn one of the streams from today. So we'll email out about that when we decide. How about that? And thanks for watching. Go make some money, all right?
Stay safe out there.
Bye, guys.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go.